BMW spent more money on the product of the X5 than Ford did on promotion. And then BMW did no marketing and no ads. And the X5 sold better. Nike, they recently did this cool thing with a giant concrete soccer ball. It smashed into a BMW on the street. And my brain can't forget that.
Yeah.
Like that's how my brain works because it's emotional and weird.
And I went on your website and it says no real estate agent. Let's unpack that for the audience.
99% of real estate agents, it's very dry, it's very traditional. There's a formula, you wear a suit, there's a walk through the property, and that is the exact type of work I'm trying to avoid for the rest of my life.
Marcus Willis is the bold creative force behind Kill Boring Dead, the agency built to shake brands out of mediocrity. He engineers culture-shifting moments that make people stop scrolling, start talking, and actually care.
What would you say the role of marketing is?
It's just to make you famous. The human brain is designed to be really efficient. And if I have to be like, oh, let me look at every single super glue on the market every single time, or let me decide again, it just doesn't work like that. So marketing is just designed, if you think of real estate, if you think of a category, if you think of anything, if that brand comes to mind, you win. That's it.
Right.
And it doesn't even need to be positive. So Ryanair, the most famous airline in the world, right? They basically market themselves as being the shittest airline, but they also made more money than British Airways. So how the hell does that work?
What's an example of a big ugly brand that you want to go after?
I mean, you know, something like
Marcus Willis is the founder and creative director of Kill Boring Dead, a creative agency coming out of Melbourne dedicated to revolutionising marketing by eliminating dull and uninspiring content. He's been at it since 2015. Kill Boring Dead focuses on bold, engaging ideas and innovative strategies that bring cultural relevance and help brands stand out in saturated markets. What I love about Marcus is that he is dedicated to smashing it out of the park with what he calls challenger brands. And when you think about it, in the age of AI and personal brands, every brand could be a challenger brand to those big sluggish incumbents that have got the same boring marketing. So no longer are they going to have that position where they just sit there rusted on and you can't approach them anymore. This is the kind of guy that's behind the kind of agency that cracks that open. We're going to get some amazing stuff out of this talk. We're going to freestyle a lot during it, but there's going to be some stuff in here about personal brands, user-generated content, AI, and so much in between. Worth your time. Woo! Marcus, welcome to Flow Zone.
I love it. I love Flow Zone. And I love the name of Flow Zone as well.
What do you love about it?
It just feels like a euphoric place for me. Like if I'm flow zoning, like I'm happy. You know, when you, like I forgot the time today. I was like working on something like, oh shit, I got to do a podcast later.
Lucky it was the one you're coming to flow on, so it just flown right in here.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, thank you for that. Look, one thing I'll say about when I met you, like we're actually at this dinner at St. Haven, right? And it was an astrology cosmic dinner.
Yeah.
My wife had booked us into.
My partner had booked us into me.
Yeah,
too.
your partner had booked you in there as well. And we're sitting across from each other. You had your notebook. And I'm like, this guy is like studious. He's like writing everything down. I'm like, hang on, I do that when I come to something new. And then we got all switched seats and we end up talking to each other and it just went from there.
I love that at an astrology dinner, we were just like talking business.
Well, if it's destined in the stars that we're going to be involved in business, well, it'd be rude of us not to bring that out, right?
It's my favorite topic, so I'm all for it.
Yeah. Well, we've got lots of topics to talk about today.
Cool.
I want to start with why it is you love challenger brands so much.
Well, they've got more to prove. They've got less money. They're trying to attack someone, and I love having an enemy, even if it's just like a concept. Like if you're trying to go after some big, nasty company that's richer than you and does everything better than you, then you got to be more creative. You're like, okay, what's like the Death Star attack vector for this? And you got to try to like think about that one little thing you can do really friggin' well.
What's an example of a big ugly brand that you want to go after?
I mean, you know, something like a market leader or a Telstra or something like that is an easy one. So like, what does Aldi Mobile have to do? Which is just like a challenger brand on a challenger brand. Like, how can they be more creative than trying to beat Telstra? Because they can't have better Google ads than them. They can't have a better website. They can't have better infrastructure, customer service, AI. Everything is probably going to be worse.
Yeah.
Except maybe one tiny little thing that they can turn up to 10.
Am I getting a hint here? You are consulting to Aldi Mobile?
No, but that is my dream client. So,
Well, we've got it on the public airwaves now. Let's see how we can cut this message through. Aldi Mobile, you must get these guys. He will kill boring dead. You've already done it once. What, with groceries?
Yeah.
Let's just do it with mobiles.
That's what I'm thinking.
So I did see something very interesting on your website, and I think it was around about the time that like we took it from astrology to business. And I went on your website and it says no real estate agents. Let's unpack that for the audience.
Yeah, sorry about that. But for me, that it's a bit tongue in cheek. But like when we say kill boring dead, I just want to do awesome career defining work. I want to get excited. I want to like kick the doors in on Monday morning. Like, let's make some cool shit or break something. So it's just kind of my way of like joking and being like, we don't do the world's most boring industry. You know what I mean? And there is some great, like there's a real estate agent on TikTok where she plays hide and seek in the houses that she's listing. So that for me is like really interesting. But in, 99% present company excluded of real estate agents, it's very dry. It's very traditional. There's a formula. You wear a suit. You do this thing. There's a walk through the property. And that is the exact type of work I'm trying to avoid for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Well, look, you're actually preaching to the choir.
Yeah, I know.
I've had a bit of an identity crisis ever since I got into the sector of real estate. That I think the way that I had described myself pretty much from the start is that I'm an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Trapped in a real estate practitioners or business owners' body. But it's just a vehicle that I've driven for a good part of my career, real estate. I went after it originally because it was a big prize pool and I could see how fucking unsophisticated it was. I could not believe, even to this day, how unsophisticated real estate is. And it's challenging to be a challenger in an industry where there's not really much desire to change.
Yeah, and I think you've done a great job, and you look like the least real estate person ever, which is awesome. You look more like a personal stylist.
Oh, thank you, Marcus.
So yeah, how do you take something boring, it can be an industry or a concept, and then attack it? And it can just be a big old-fashioned way of looking at and trying to do something differently. Like Heaps Normal, that non-alcoholic beer, their enemy is water. And they're just like, we hate water. You should drink something better at a pub when you're not drinking.
You actually had someone from Heaps Normal on recently, their CMO or something, didn't you, on your show?
Well, I'm really interested in just like learning everything I can about marketing. And that's one thing I want to stick to, where I just assume I know nothing at all times and try to stay super curious.
Yeah.
Because when I speak to Tim, the CMO of Heaps Normal, he's like, we don't do performance marketing. We don't spend any money on ads. We only do brand building. And for me, looking at that, I'm like, as the number one selling non-alcoholic beer, that's pretty freaking cool. And then also I speak to other clients and they're like, oh, we do a lot of Google shopping ads and that works really well and that's it. And they only do performance. So what is that balance?
Wow. Okay. Well, there's a whole crack that open. I want to go down the narrative of the eternal student, which is basically what I'm labeling from what you've just said is you come in like, I know nothing.
Yeah.
I really value this kind of thinking, and I think it's something that's changing a lot as the people have access to so much now. They think because I can access it, I kind of know it. And they go, yeah, I've seen all that.
Oh, yeah, I've read that book title, so I understand the concept.
So, what does learning look like in your life?
It's just staying super friggin' curious and assuming that I can always improve. And actually, do you know who unlocked something here for me? Shanna Kennedy, who was on this show.
Yes.
My life coach.
Yes.
And when I've been running my agency for 10 years, I'm like, did actually get into that way of thinking like, oh, maybe I know this, I'm doing this, that works well, or, this is how it's supposed to go. And then she asked me this question where she was like, what would your younger self do? And then I was like, well, I would create an agency that's more compelling and bolder and would send myself bankrupt. So I was like, okay, let's just do that myself then. And it's really fun of being like, what would you do as a challenger? Like if you right now wanted to disrupt your own business, what would you do? It's a really fun thought experiment.
Oh, look, it is a fun thought experiment. And I must admit, I'll tuck this in because my beautiful Panamu is actually dangling on the table. I had it out. I wanted to have all the gear out today. I just knew I was going to have a colourful character, so I've gone colourful.
Well, you nailed it.
Well, this is how I dress. Like, it's just, I didn't dress so much like this when I lived in Newcastle because you just run into people too much and not everyone gets it. And I don't think people mean to judge in small communities, but because you're tripping over each other so much, if something's different, it's like, and it's like, it just rounds the edges off. So
I love seeing you like power away at the computer at the gym when I see it like 5 a.m. and you're like dressed like something like this, looking like you're like bashing out a memoir or something.
I bash out lots of memoirs in the morning. I've got this 2-hour time now where I'm just like,
this is my
creative flow zone. Yeah, so there's just no inbound shit going on there. It's all mind mapping and whatever it's going to be.
I love it.
I had a crack at that when I was in real estate. I realized in 2011, that was only 6 years into the game, that I needed to move on from being in lounge rooms.
Yeah, nice.
Right, it was just eating me away.
What do you mean in lounge rooms?
Like, that's where you sign people up.
Oh, right. Yeah, boring.
So what you do, like basically most real estate agents in Australia, which I don't agree with this model, by the way, and that's why I've been at it ever since changing it. I don't agree that you should only be targeting people who want to sign up with you and list their house.
The 95-5 rule.
Yeah, like that, but that's basically what real estate is in Australia because it's mostly sell side or property management side. So they they broadcast like, I'm the best, I'm the best, I'm the best, and then just like get the listing. And then that person's like locked in based on how charismatic someone was or how many friends recommended them or how big their social print is or whatever. And then like the service delivery after that is a fucking gamble.
Yeah.
Right? It looks the same online. Same photography, same videos, as you've said.
Same suit, same guy.
Same promises, same coaches and trainers work across all the competitors. There's barely any differentiating between brands. Most of the brands have got people who used to be at other brands.
Yep.
So they're all practicing very similar methods, doing very similar stuff. But none of them have got a list of buyers that are properly qualified, like en masse, which is the number one, I suppose, thing that an owner needs to know about. And so it's the same thing over and over and over again. And it usually is a compromise that's taking place where the vendor is the one who owns the property adjusting their expectations to far below what the agent thought because the agent hasn't been able to have any control over the outcome. They say it's the market or the buyers aren't thinking what we were and blah, blah, blah. But all the marketing is happening on someone else's platform to people they've already met and haven't bothered to keep their details on their own CRM that no one uses. And even inside the agencies, they hold on to their little lists on little spreadsheets and their outlooks thinking, oh, my colleagues are going to steal these listings if I put them in the CRM. It's like, what fucking culture is that? It is no wonder that you get all this one-offmanship where someone gets ahead, they get their name to a certain point, they go, righto, I've got my business now, you guys aren't needed anymore, I'm going to another one. And they just keep dividing, like sort of alternating cryptocurrency coins. They're just diminishing value over time, taking further away from the consumer experience. When there's another side of the equation, which is most of the market, buyers and tenants. What journey have they fucking got? They get a better journey on realestate.com or a mortgage broker or some other kind of SaaS product than they do from any of the agencies when they are the most valuable resource. And there's infinitely more of them than homeowners.
Exactly.
Right? So like we've totally flipped that script. And it's only but in the last few years that I've gone fully integrated vertical and horizontal in the Presence Real Estate Group. Because I attempted to do that by starting what is now Australia's fastest growing and amongst the biggest buyers agencies in Australia, Henderson Advocacy, with my co-founder, Jack. We're not in business anymore. It was like an era and a lot of things changed in that era. I rebranded and became Presence. I started a B2B2C company as well. But it also got massive opposition from competitors and media got involved. And I'm not talking about it at all. It's just, I suppose, showing the resistance to any new models or any new challenges. So I basically did do what I would do from scratch if I was going to start from scratch with that brand. The difference was I tried to keep a foot in the other side until such a time as it didn't need me anymore. And my intention was to step out and do the B2B2C company, which is all the operating systems and the back end and the service delivery, and have the buyer's agency unlimited. Because you can have an international audience, you can buy anywhere, you can build wealth, which is something you're actually making rather than just taking a piece of something.
I
So
love
now
it.
we're doing that inside Presence. It didn't work out doing it, in a partnership arrangement. They're going great, and we have completely rebuilt. I'm trying to do it again internally. So what would you do now if you were going to do it from scratch? Because you've been kill boring dead for a while now. How do you kill boring dead?
Yeah, maybe I need to go harder. You know what? I mean, I'm 8 months in, so I'm like loving life right now. And for me, I'm so happy where I am. Like, I feel so freaking challenged. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm doing new things. I'm really pushing myself. And I don't want Kill Boring Dead just be, oh, cool, like that's how the content that we create. But I want it to be a challenge to me. I don't want my career or life to be boring. So it applies everywhere. So
Yeah.
I think this has been a rebrand that feels personal as well to me, where it's what I really freaking believe. I want to go on helicopters with my team. I want to surprise them on weird treats. I want to like prank my clients. I want to do weird campaigns. I want to surprise people. And I want to do shit that's memorable and exciting and fun. So you know what? Maybe in 10 more years, I'll look back and I'll have a new answer. But right now, I'm like just full steam ahead.
Well, yeah, and that's fair enough because like it has been about 8 months since you've done the big rebrand. I really liked how mysterious it was. Like you invited me to one of your client-only events, right?
Yeah.
And I wanted to go. I just wasn't available on the night. And I'm like, I'd love it if you, just get me, a picture or a video on the night just to give you a bit of a vibe. He's like, no, we're under NDA. I'm just like, what are they doing at these events?
I would love to tell you, but I can't.
You can't do it. Are you actually getting him to sign a physical NDA?
Yeah, I distribute NDAs like crazy to my friends, to my team when they come to the Christmas party. I'm like, this is a huge NDA moment.
Yes.
It also makes it a bit more fun, right?
I reckon there'd be some real estate agents that would need NDAs. Like I just saw the Inspired Unemployed today. They just put out another one. It's got, man, those guys are going crazy.
Right.
But they just put out this thing and it's just all these wanker real estate agent images of just being in a house going like, I'll tell you anything to get your 2%. And then they're going, I love the bags. And it's just like, that an industry has become so sane that you can basically say something like that and almost everyone in the industry, there's enough resonance to say, yeah, that's real estate agents.
Yeah.
And look, I can't say I have not been in the industry and I have not been involved in any parties or any sort of real estate celebrations at all. I'm not saying that at all.
Yeah.
It's funny though, when you look at other industries where that kind of behavior would be really normal, but they're not as vanilla in every other part of their life, so it's not as remarkable.
Yeah.
Whereas like you can tar certain industries with a brush, the Wall Street types, the accountant type.
Yeah.
What's another type that you look at and you say, I can tell what they are by just looking at them from the outside?
Well, I mean, like marketing agency owners, in real estate agents' defense, it's actually harder to become a real estate agent than to start a social media agency. You
Right.
need more training, even though
Yes.
it's like still very little. But anything like that where there's low barriers to entry, it means the quality can be low, including my industry. Most people have been burnt by an agency before, and then they're like, oh, marketing doesn't work. And I'm like, what? No.
Yes, marketing works. Just shit marketing doesn't work.
Exactly. And I really am very freaking passionate about marketing. Like just small things. If I say like, I ate bread in Alston, like without marketing, that's what people would say. But instead I can be like, I had bacon and eggs for breakfast in Surfers Paradise because someone rebrand Alston to Surfers Paradise because it's a better marketing.
Yes.
Kellogg's drove the breakfast category, and then a PR agency in the 1920s for the pork industry created bacon and eggs as a concept.
Wow.
So when you think about culture and the world, there is nothing that the marketing industry hasn't influenced or changed, and it can be really positive and fun and progress great values or even change people's minds and ideas. But then also it can be used for, selling more skincare or some e-commerce thing that we don't need on TikTok.
That we don't need on TikTok. Yeah. That's a little precursor to a lot of the things on TikTok, but fuck, it's addictive, isn't it?
It's so good. You need to use it for like 35 minutes, and depending on how long you hesitate, it can figure out if you like golden retrievers or cavoodles more or anything, and it starts learning, and it's completely AI. It's the best algorithm ever, and it's like, if you look at my TikTok, you'll be like, this is boring. And vice versa, maybe. But your TikTok or your Explore page, it's like, addictive.
Yeah, it's so exciting to me. Well,
Yeah.
I think mine does struggle to keep up with me a little bit because
Oh, right. You're one step ahead.
I do. I just move around a lot in what I'm
Yeah.
looking at. But it's quick to adapt. I will say that.
Well, you can reset your algorithm now on Instagram and go like, no, I want a clean slate. I'm starting again.
Wow.
Yeah.
That'd actually be good because, there's things that keep showing up, and I'm just like, that's old me.
Yeah. I get a lot of like pet insurance and like, here's how to protect your dog's teeth. I'm like, I don't own a dog. I just look at a lot of dog content. So like, figure it out.
They're the best dogs to have. Someone else's.
Speaking of just the specificity of social, one of my clients called me one day and he's like, you know those sperm pill ads? And I'm like, what? He goes, dude, I thought you worked in social media. You would have seen these sperm pill ads. They're everywhere on the internet. They're on YouTube, they're on Google. Everyone's talking about sperm pills.
Are these like a pill that helps you get more better sperm
increases
count?
your fertility.
Right.
And I was like, oh, are you trying to have a baby? He's like, yeah. I'm like, that's your algorithm with your ads.
I was going to say, they don't come up with me as well, man.
Yeah. I'm like, Instagram's not dumb enough to try to show me those ads because it knows I'm not going to buy it. I'm not trying to impregnate a woman. You are.
Oh, wow. There's a big rabbit hole available in so many of our conversations. I did pick up before, you started like almost defining, you defined the value of marketing, with Surface Paradise and the eggs. Mm-hmm. What would you say the role of marketing is?
It's just to make you famous. So when the light goes on in the dash of your Volvo, the first mechanic that you think of is where you're going to go. Or when you need super glue, if you think of Loctite, that's great. That brand won. So the human brain is designed to be really efficient. And if I have to be like, oh, let me look at every single super glue on the market every single time, or let me decide again what my favorite functional beverage is.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work like that. So marketing is just designed, if you think of real estate, if you think of a category, if you think of anything, if that brand comes to mind, you win. That's it.
Right.
And it doesn't even need to be positive. So Ryanair, right? The most famous airline in the world, right? They basically market themselves as being the shittest airline. But they also made more money than British Airways. So how the hell does that work?
How does it work?
Well, it's because when someone goes, budget airline, I'm traveling in Europe. Oh, Ryanair, I saw it on TikTok. Is it really that bad? Oh, I'll book it anyway. And then all of a sudden, they're the first European carrier to transport 200 million people in a year. And they're making record profits. So it's really just that simple. But a lot of work that we do as brand managers and agencies is we just completely fuck with it. Where we're like, these are our values, these are our promises, this is our vision, this is our mission, and I want people to know this and that. And then this poor customer who's scrolling or trying to learn something about you, she probably has a missed call from her mum, she's got to pick up the kids, she's worried about her school lunchbox hygiene, and she's got to like take the Volvo to the mechanic. She's got all this stuff going. And then as a brand, you're like, here's 12 things to remember.
Yeah.
That's fucking selfish.
Yeah.
Just be like, this is one thing. Remember that and we win.
Wow. Okay. That does really crack it open quite a lot. That cracks it open a lot. So what's the place then of vision, mission, values when it comes to marketing?
Well, I think it's really good for internal decision making, but also your customer doesn't give a shit about that. Like Starbucks is obviously the most famous coffee shop in the world. Their vision is the biggest joke ever. It's about building the human spirit through connection or whatever. And they created that internally with their team. So their staff worked on that. It's not made for the customers. It's made internally. So how simple you can make it, the better it can be. And if and with positioning or whatever, if I just think of one or two things, you win. It can't be too complicated.
Yeah, I might be a bit tilted on this, because I did do a bit of Starbucks came into it when we were implementing scaling up in one of my groups. And the thing I really liked is what they call the one phrase strategy, like Jim Collins and Ben Harnish referred to in scaling up and good to great. And theirs is the third place.
Yes,
it's
so
not
that's
work and
perfect.
it's not home.
That's genius. And they've moved away from that. And for the third place, why would you have an app that's easier for you to order and do takeaway and pickups? That's not third place. So the brand is actually very confused. And when you know something is really bad, you look at someone's TikTok bio. And if their TikTok bio is also the name of their company, that means they've got no idea what it is.
Ooh.
But if Starbucks was, and obviously Starbucks is incredible, they've nailed 3 out of the 4 P's of marketing, right? But you've never seen a good Starbucks ad. But if their TikTok was, look at what people are creating in their third place, and something along those lines,
Yeah.
if this is just what we're talking about,
Yeah.
then they win. But that positioning, you're right, is amazing, but they don't do that anymore.
Oh, that's so disappointing.
I know. And when you get something good like that, there's a lot of excitement in the marketing world to change it. We've got to do this and do that. And we're going to rebrand. We've got new values. It's so stupid to do that. I was speaking to the CMO, or the ex-CMO of Primo Bacon and Meats.
Oh, yeah.
And every day at work, he said that he just prayed for 5 minutes that Don wouldn't bring back "Is Don is good."
All right, because that's memorable.
Exactly. But when you keep changing it and chopping and changing it, this like the average parent in Australia has 19 minutes free time a day. So are you going to keep on changing that shit on her as well? So it's even more confusing? So how simple can you be? How consistent can you do it? How can this person who's got their life and problems going on understand your brand really quickly and easily?
So for our listeners and viewers who aren't your status of marketer, what are the 4 P's of marketing?
All right. Promotion, which is basically what all marketing is now. So you might be like 10% off or 2 for 1 or whatever it is. But of course, that's social and ads and all sorts of fun stuff. Price is amazing. So there's a lot of strategy. There used to be kind of a marketing function, which doesn't really exist anymore. Placement, which obviously Starbucks does, where, Starbucks is everywhere, right? So they've nailed that P. And then obviously product as well. A lot of people, BMW spent more money on the product of the X5 than the same amount of money of product development than Ford did on promotion. And then BMW did no marketing and no ads. And the X5 sold better.
Yeah, that was the number 1 selling SUV for years in a row, right?
Yeah, when it was made in America. So you get to kind of choose, do you want to make this product really good, or do you want to make it okay, but then over-index on the placement? Like, is the service in 7-Eleven amazing? No, but because their placement is everywhere, I'm going to use it.
So is there another one there with like positioning, like where we sit in the spectrum, like whether we're a luxe or whether we're like convenient and cheap? Is that one of the P's?
I mean, the kind of P's evolve, and if you look at social media, there might be like 7 or 11.
As long as there's alliteration involved, we can call it another P, right?
Exactly. But I guess I would probably put placement or positioning in promotion.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
And again, that's just super simple. Like if I say a brand to you, what do you think? And if you say 1 or 2 words that I'm trying to portray, then I've done a good job.
Yeah, okay. I like that.
Yeah.
I'll give us an example of that. See if there's a brand that you know has a good strength, and I'll see if I can reply.
So Kit Kat.
Take a break.
Yes, you got it. So, and they've got some really memorable things, and if they ever change it, then that's a disaster.
It would be, yeah. Like I just remember still those couple of tradies, like, take a break. Like they were getting shitty at each other. Have a Kit Kat.
And maybe Snickers as well, you might know.
I love Snickers. I love the taste of it. Really satisfies.
Yeah. Yeah. It's also, you're not you. You're not you when you're hungry.
Oh, right.
Okay,
Is that the hangry one or something like that?
Yeah.
They've lost me on that one because Snickers really satisfies, I think it was.
Well, they have chopped and changed, and then they've changed it again as well.
And that might be why. So that's dilution of their own brand.
And it takes 3 or 5 years for anyone to remember anything, because don't forget, they don't care about you.
Yeah.
They've got their own stuff happening. So then you're like, paradoxically, when you work in a brand or when you work for the client, you go there every day, you read the documents, you know everything, you get paid by the company. It's all you friggin' think about.
Yeah.
So you're like, well, everyone must know this. Or even worse, we're like, we've been doing this for 7 years. People are getting sick of this, right? What that really means is I'm getting sick of it and I'm going to change it, which is the worst thing to do as a marketing person.
Yeah, I have actually seen that, in a number of situations that it's sort of like, where was it? I think it was to do with Nike. When they were talking about like how Phil Knight was walking past this thing and he's just like, oh, when are we going to be done with this thing?
Are we still saying just do it?
Yeah, and it was something, it wasn't quite that big, but it was close. He's like, when are we going to be done with this fucking grotesque campaign? And they're like, it hasn't launched yet. So like, was that just you high-fiving yourself?
I mean, that was me.
I
just
love
like
that. We should do
celebrating
that.
life.
I want to do that more often. It's sort of like, yes, I got it.
Well, Nike's an interesting one where they recently just got a new CMO a few years ago who used to work in eBay, which is the biggest performance marketing, company ever. So Nike stopped investing in brand or like the lasting marketing, and they spent way more on performance, ads and shopping and e-commerce. And as a result, it's completely set the brand back 10 years where salience is down, brand perception is down. In the meantime, New Balance and Hoka have came along and invested in brand. And they've been doing something more like Heaps Normal, where they're just talking about these cool experiences.
Yeah.
And the thing about performance marketing or ads is that I cannot remember any Google shopping ad I've ever seen in my entire life. And I work in marketing. But then Nike, who just got a new CMO, they fired the old one, are going back into brand marketing now. They recently did this cool thing with a giant concrete soccer ball. It smashed through a building and smashed into a BMW on the street. And they just had a giant soccer ball and a crashed BMW.
Wow.
And my brain can't forget that.
Yeah.
Like that's how my brain works and our brains, because it's emotional and weird. You're like, wow, that soccer ball smashed a 5 Series? That's cool.
Yeah.
And that's brand marketing or lasting marketing. But you know what? The marketing industry, because it's so easy to track and so fun, we're like, if I spend $10 on Google Ads, I'm going to make $20. And because it's easy and fun, we kind of fuck ourselves. So the CFO approves it, and we have this obsession with performance because it's easy to track.
I've been caught up in this myself, definitely. I've been caught up in it where like a lot of the client acquisition in the businesses, like because I advise a portfolio of companies in VC as well that I'm invested in. And a lot of them are service companies, like especially in the second fund we got. So the group's called PyLab Capital, and the first fund was all like prop tech, new ventures, really exciting, growing. But then the multipliers started getting crazy after a few years. So we sort of stopped investing in that fund and just ran the distance, and they've all had great outcomes except one, but it's totally overshadowed by the good ones.
Great.
But the second fund is like mostly SMEs, sort of 10 to 50 mil turnover. Where they've got like IP, they've got a market position, and they've got like a founder that really doesn't have a succession plan internally. So they've only got a choice to sort of sell to usually a local competitor, which is a horrible thought in a lot of cases for them.
Yeah.
So by getting private equity involved, we can kind of aggregate groups across Australia, get economies of scale, and then kind of create sort of defendable market leading positions.
Cool.
But the thing is, most of those companies, like their entire client acquisition model is based on its staff going and networking with people.
Yeah.
Which is like...
Can you give an example of one of these brands?
Yeah, okay. So like fire safety. We did really well in like fire safety groups. So there's a company in the first fund called Detector Inspector, and we invested in them because they had a very strong tech backbone.
Yeah.
And so we knew that the legislation was changing around Australia because a lot of the investors in the fund were from a real estate services background.
Cool.
And we didn't think it was right that in some states rental properties were allowed to go a whole year without having their smoke alarm tested.
Yeah.
When there's people living in that house depending on it not burning down, right?
Yeah.
And so the owner had to like make a choice whether they wanted to go and get an alarm installed, which would be like $99 per alarm, plus an annual test, plus organising it through the property manager with fees. And they're just like, oh, that's just another cost. So people died, right? So eventually the legislation, or nearly died. The legislation was like, no, it's going to be mandated. We could hear it coming for a while, but none of the industries were changing. They were just, hey, there's a new legislation coming. Everyone's going to need some. So they all put an ad in the paper and ring a few more agents. These guys came in and said, well, where's the barrier to getting them installed around Australia? And it came with the logistics. Like the property manager is already run off their feet. And in property management, they say there's three sort of stakeholders: the tenant, the landlord, and the property manager. And at any given time, up to two of them are usually unhappy. And it is just an old thinking. It's not how I believe it to be. But like they are run off their feet.
It's a very hard job because the margins are so low. So you need 612 clients or whatever it is.
And like most of the principals that get ahead in it, they just arbitrage the shit out of it. So basically they bring them on, they sign them up at whatever fees. Then they stretch the property managers till they can't stretch anymore. And they end up with a management, and the owner doesn't want to leave because it's a pain to change, like changing insurance companies.
Yeah.
So they end up with this big aggregated portfolio. And then when they go to sell their real estate agency, because they've got no real value in the sales side because it's so transient and not much systems, they can at least sell the book like a mortgage book would be sold.
Yeah.
And that's their exit. But it's really disappointing because the tenants get shit service. The owners of the properties that bought these properties to grow wealth aren't getting any wealth creation advice at all. They make dumb decisions every time the market starts cooling. They're like, I better sell. The interest rates are going up. And then after 3 years, when it corrects itself again, they've just missed another 10 years worth of savings that would have just come naturally in growth. So we've taken more of a wealth creation lens on it. But back to the pivot, back to the Detector Inspector, what they did was created software that kind of did the whole booking for the tenant, the landlord, and the property manager.
Yeah.
And they had cars deployed using a system like Uber so that they were really efficient with the route that they would go and do the installs and the testing. So it allowed them to keep the prices right under control.
Nice.
And it allowed them to get unlimited scalability.
Amazing.
So we took this group called Detector Inspector, which was like one of the leaders in Melbourne, but in other states they were barely unheard of. They were basically unheard of. And they became number one in Australia, like within a few financial years of all this legislation coming in. Acquired some smaller sort of challenges, I suppose.
Yeah, great.
Brought their tech into them. And now we've rolled that into the second fund. So if you look at the ones that we've bought, they all got ahead through relationships, door knocking real estate agencies, taking the owners out for drinks, the property managers out for drinks. But there was no really inherent value of what they were offering. It was the same as the others. They just had a stronger relationship.
Yeah.
And that's how so many service companies grow. But then what's left at the end of the day that's unique and differentiated about that company? Do you see that in your world a lot?
Well, I love that example. Firstly, the name is amazing because if it's called Smoke Alarm Inspector, 101 or whatever, it's just so incredibly boring. But there's a personality, it's fun to it. And then the marketing there, what you're telling me is the product. They've got software, they've got automation, so it makes it easier. But there is a little bit of a brand piece as well, because if something is done really boringly or averagely, and you do something slightly better, it's amazing and remarkable. And when Detector Inspector comes to my house and is a slightly pleasant experience, I'm absolutely shocked because my expectations were so low.
I know. Well, have you ever tried to organise a builder to come to your house?
Unfortunately.
Yeah. It's like, like this is the absolute epitome of OPUD. Overpromise, underdeliver. Where it's like, yeah, mate, I'll be right out there. And you literally take a day off work and then you're calling them like at 5 p.m. after a full day off and probably missing them twice. You're in there, hey, I'm just ducking out to the shops. If you turn up, I've left a key under the pot. No answer. You're back from the shops. Oh, well, I suppose maybe they came. No, the key's still there. Okay, I'll call one more time. No, and then someone's like, yeah, I'll call you back. Then I call you back. And like 5:30 p.m., you've had a whole day off work, frustrated as hell. What's going on? Oh, I got caught up on a big job. You got so caught up you couldn't send a text message. And like these people have got work coming out of their ears and they can't even get a VA or now an AI to just communicate. Or it's like when Foxtel or whatever it was, that you used to have that stupid dish on top of your house if you wanted to get more than one channel of TV that wasn't constant news. And like they'd be like, we'll be out between 8 a.m. and 9 p.m. It's like, how do you plan around that? It's fucking arcade.
Well, I couldn't get away with that in my business. I don't know about yours.
No, definitely not. So I suppose this brings us to the era that we're in now. AI. We're in the age of AI and personal brands. I definitely want to get in personal brands with you. But as far as AI goes, there's this view that's held, particularly by creatives, that like AI is stifling creativity. Like it's so easy now to just ask it for something and it sort of delivers it. Now, I don't hold exactly that view, but it seems to be a fairly commonly held view. What's your view on AI and creativity?
Well, I'm absolutely obsessed. Any idea that we can think of, we can execute faster or really close to like a few days, what would take months of planning and shooting and all of that. So I love it from a creative lens. I like to do an augmented approach where brainstorming or like what's wrong with this idea or what's 60 things that this audience member might think about this ad, and you can create synthetic personas. You create your customer and get them to give you feedback on your ideas. So amazing. So love it from that level, but I do see the performance marketing side of things getting completely wiped out. If we're creating product ads or remarketing and you're not using AI, it kind of feels a bit weird. And I see that being 100% replaced in the future, where I wouldn't want a human being choosing what creative or ads. I just want to use the data and let the system run. But for the lasting brand pieces or emotional storytelling, I feel like there's a huge place in the marketing industry to keep on working in that space. And I think it's kind of good because we've all been so obsessed with performance over the years for us to go back to the best friggin' thing about marketing, which is something creative and exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what a lot of marketers might imagine they were getting into when they get into it. They see these think tanks and there's like colored crayons everywhere. And it's like, yeah.
And that's what I love. Like, it used to be called the coloring in department. I think that's awesome because we're meant to do something fun and creative and exciting for the business. But then when finance and the CFO and then 16 people are approving every TikTok, a lot of people who got into marketing to lead and to drive and to do awesome friggin' work, they actually become approval seekers.
Yeah.
And they're trying to get consensus in the business, which is the greatest way to create absolute shit. So for me, called Kill Boring Dead, who I'm waking up in the morning to do cool stuff, a lot of my work is talking to brands and being like, can you please not fuck this?
Yeah.
Can you let us just have the system, or the brand manager who you hired who's really smart, don't try to make her life a living nightmare. Just let her do her thing, and some things are going to work. But overall, if you give one person the keys to your TikTok, like what Duolingo did, really cool creative stuff happens. But when the whole company's involved, it's really bad.
Wow. Yeah. Well, yeah, on the AI thing, I actually think it's taking creativity to a whole new level. Like, because if you can reduce, especially for one with a creative brain, like we both have, it's actually on my Shannon Kennedy 3 values, right? You know how you do your personal values?
Oh, yeah.
I did this with her on my pod right here.
Yeah, I saw.
And it's like, mine came up as health, creativity, family.
Yeah.
Like, and it was just, and it's now in front of me all the time, and I keep iterating on it. And it's close because I kept on bringing business values into it.
Yeah.
Like, and I do have this thing about being a maker, not a taker. It's kind of, it is, but that's part of being a creator.
Yeah,
I create
nice.
value rather than take a piece of what was already there. I hate land grabs. I hate it when you go and just stick a stake in the ground. Fuck, I got here first. It's such an entitlement mentality to that. I think we need to keep creating things of value. And if we can shorten the amount of time it takes from our neurons firing to getting an idea out.
Yeah.
It's been so frustrating over the years, me trying to get things out quickly. I can't even explain them quick enough for someone to document. But now I can speak at this pace and faster.
I love it. I couldn't agree more because a lot of the time when I have these ideas, then when it comes to executing it, I'm actually bored of it. I'm like, the Phil Knight story is funny because I do resonate. I'm like, are we still talking about this? But to be able to think of a webinar, to be able to set the data up, and then all of a sudden things just happen and we've got content going.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
One thing about AI that's actually kind of surprised me is when we're doing brainstorming or thinking, I'm actually working a little bit to coach my team on to actually think bigger. Because previously, 2 years ago, if we're like, okay, we're working on this instant noodle brand, let's send it into space. Then someone will be like, well, it's probably going to cost 200 grand, Marcus. Like, we can't just send instant noodles into space. But now when we're brainstorming, I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I will create that video in real time.
Yeah.
So the way that we brainstorm, it kind of needs to be changed and bigger, and you need to go crazier to keep up with the technology. Because if there's no limits anymore to what you can create or imagine, but we're still holding ourselves back, then you've kind of painted yourself into a corner.
I like that. I like that. I think AI is at the stage for me where it is executing the way I think. So it's kind of like, look, this is the outcome I'm after, and I'm imagining these are the kind of steps on the way, but I'm happy for you to throw in some other flavors. This is the outcome I definitely want. This is my current sort of stepstones involved. What are some better ways to do it? Or if I was going to do it that way, lay it out in front of me. Now, I prompt for like hours a day.
Same.
I've recorded myself like for 6 and 7 hours straight when I've been fucking around, you know, engineering a new funnel or, you know, a new operating system where there's lots of words coming out. And people are like, you know, oh, yeah, it's all fine for you, whatever. You have to train this thing.
Yeah.
But the good thing is, it's not like humans where you train them and then the moment that they have your IP, they're like, well, I'm valuable to you now. So you either need to pay me more or I'm bored with anything other than doing exactly what the fuck I want. And I don't say that meanly about people. It's a natural human condition. I really do. I resonated with Sam Altman on the 1 hour episode he did just recently, which was quite an uplifting one. He gets paneled on all the time by interviewers. Oh, you're responsible for like the death of the human race. And it's just like, fuck, how many times have you got to answer that question?
Yeah.
But he's getting really good at just talking about like that it's your life kind of helper. It's there to help you become all of the things that you want to be and achieve the things you want to be. And the trust that people have in their own ChatGPT or AI that they use instead of that is really high. Like mine's really high. I will happily integrate it with any shit I'm currently doing.
Yeah.
Because I would happily integrate someone under a flimsy little non-disclosure agreement that's not going to mean a piece of shit unless I go and get a mortgage a house to go and fight them in court over something that they can still say they didn't know what it meant.
Which is why I use them for fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
of
Like
legally.
I suppose there's an intentionality behind it. So I suppose, pivoting a little bit now to personal brands and you're having a big rise with your personal brand. You're really niching into kind of like this, from what I can see, just big, bold thinking, but coming at it from the eternal student and these really sort of unhinged conversations, which is where so much gold comes out. If you're doing a marketing sort of piece for a company, right? Like you said, an ever-standing logo, a bit of creative or whatever. And at the same time, they've got all these people that work for them that want to have personal brands, which by definition are them.
Yeah.
How does personal brand and a company brand work together beyond 2025?
I think as a larger corporation, it's really good to set your team up with infrastructure. So if you're just like, hey, everyone, we now have a company-wide editor who helps you edit your social media. And if you're talking about our industry, that's good. And the less restrictions you give on your team who are trying to promote your industry or your category or your business, the better.
Yeah.
So it can be done very wrong where these are the restrictions. This is the 16-page document on what you can and can't say. And it kind of screws with your creativity. But the personal branding side of things from a larger organization to propagate that down is just helping them. Like, here's what good looks like. Here's how to edit this, or here's resources to do it. But of course, the founder-led side of things is exciting as well because it's just more memorable. And for me, if my enemy or, if I'm challenging a 90,000 person agency, who are the type of companies that I'm pitching against now, they've got 80 offices. They've got more people on sick leave today than work in my entire freaking company. So how can I compete with that? Well, I can only just be myself. That's the only slight little thing that I have that a company that is thousands of times bigger than me doesn't have.
There's something really potent about the power of authenticity as a founder or even just as a personal brand within a business setting. I feel because the people that are signing up to do business with you or even following or engaging with you, they're coming in like eyes wide open.
Yeah.
They're there as a volunteer and it's not kind of like, I'm going to you because you looked big or I saw your Google ad and what are you going to do for me? It's like you've already told them, I'm going to be like this. These are the things I believe in. Yeah. This is how I behave. And you've seen our outcomes because you've been consuming our content for hopefully 3 to 4 hours by now in total minutes.
Exactly. And for me, that's exactly just brand building. 95% of people in any industry, they just don't want to buy anything from you now. But when someone does think about getting a new agency or a new real estate agent or they want to buy new shoes in 6 months, how do you just be top of mind?
Are they going to be able to get Street Fighter 2 Championship Edition of the Shaquille O'Neal pumps?
They look limited, so maybe not.
These are a gift from my friend Nathan Atfield. Thanks, buddy. I thought I'd give them a plug today since it came up.
I love it.
Marcus, we're getting the wrap up on time here, which means we've been flowing, bro.
I'm loving it. I've been in the flow zone.
You have been in the flow zone. Look, I suppose we talked about younger self, older self before. What do you think that your older self is going to be proud of you of in 10 years from today?
Well, one thing about becoming Kill Boring Dead is that I'm just trying my hardest. And I think that kind of, the rebranding is affecting me. And I think that's all I really want to do. And I'm still making mistakes. There's stuff I don't know. I'm learning really fast and doing all these things, but I'm really just working my ass off. And that makes me feel really proud now. And I'm hoping in the future. So in 10 years from now, if I'm like, do you know what? I bit off as much as I could chew and tried to like swallowed parts of it, I think I'll be like pretty freaking satisfied.
Fucking oath, man. Well, they say, how do you eat an elephant?
Yeah, exactly.
Just one bite at a time.
Yeah,
Chew like crazy. Well, mate, it's been great chewing the fat with you today and being in the flow zone. And we'll be back in the flow zone in the not too distant future. We both hang out at St. Haven a lot. We're both in entrepreneurs organisation.
That's two cults.
That is two cult. That's a cult within a cult.
Yeah,
Actually, I did a little piece to camera after we caught up last time. And it was about the founders creating dilemma. And it's just like about how yourself and raw authentic you're going to be with the fear that you might freak out people who already work for you or whatever.
Yeah.
And you know how we had that little catch up and like one of us was like a little bit flat. And then we both came away going, I'm fucking buzzing.
We were high-fiving ourselves.
Yes, yeah, exactly. We're just doing these ones. But I went straight into the boardroom then and I spent like 30 minutes on a piece. And you're on it. So it'll come out in the not too distant future. So anyone who's watching this that hasn't already subscribed, make sure you subscribe. But like, I think your stuff is definitely worth subscribing to. Kill Boring Dead and all of your content you're putting out there. There's real value in it because you are coming at it from this eternal student point of view. You're asking questions without really having a prefabbed answer in mind. And when I watch your stuff and I hear these perspectives, that's where the paradigm opens up. So you are definitely opening minds at the moment. No doubt you're opening hearts as well. And I can't wait to see what 10 years looks like from now, Marcus.
All right, let's do it.
Thanks for coming on Flow Zone.
Pleasure. Thank you.